and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today I'll be making the December add-ons for my planner notebook. These are all of the additions that I'll be making in this video. So I got a little modification to the jumbo paperclip that I made last month. Then I'll be making a policy envelope. I'll be using the We Are Memory Keepers mini alphabet to cut out the word joy that you see on the back cover. And what I'll be using in terms of papers and embellishments is actually two older card making kits, one from Spellbinders. I think it was called Merry Everything, and then the other one was a older Pink and Mean kit, which I think was called Be Merry. I might have those two mixed up, but I remember using both of those kits last year to make Christmas cards, and I thought about what I wanted to use for my December spread, and I remembered that I still had a bunch left over from both of these kits, and they were generous kits. There was a lot in there, and so what I've done is pulled out, I think most of the pattern papers are from the Pink and Main kit, because I remember pretty much using nearly everything from the Spellbinders kit in terms of their pattern paper. But I've got this cute little kind of a Volkswagen Bug car that was already pre-made. I had one or two cars that were already pre-made, and I didn't end up needing it for the cards I was creating last year, and so I just tucked it away along with the rest of the embellishments that were left over. So I just pulled that out. I didn't even have to make it. They actually are selling the dies now to make that little Volkswagen Bug car, and also the bottle brush Christmas tree that you see there. So that's a die set that is now available for sale outside of this kit. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then the Warmest Wishes sentiment stamp is from a recent Spellbinders Christmas stamp set. I'll link to that and everything else if I can still find it. These presents were also pre-made or I should say they were just left over from my card making session last year. And the banner that I stamped Warmest Wishes on was actually from the Spellbinders mystery card making kit, which was actually the June 2018 kit. And so now I'm going to move on to the back cover. Nothing too fancy going on here. I just took another piece of scrap pattern paper from the Pink and Main Christmas kit from last year. And the reason why I put that little strip of Scotch tape, by the way, I don't know that I explained it every time that I've done this, is that I like for whatever I put into the pockets to go all the way down to the bottom, and sometimes that little extra bit of cardstock creates just like a little bit of a catch point. So to smooth out that catch point, I just put a little bit of Scotch tape right over it. This is the We Are Memory Keepers mini alphabet punch board. It's really darling. You can punch every letter in the alphabet, and it will there is a instruction booklet, but you can also look online. I also think there might even be a phone app that will give you step-by-step instructions, instructions on how to punch out each of these letters. And I did already punch out all of the letters for joy in solid color cardstock, but then I wanted it to look a little bit, I guess, fancier. Plus I had a lot of leftover pattern paper. So and this is pattern paper that was already cut into, so that's why I really wanted to use it up. And here I made a mistake. Oops. So instead of following the actual instructions, I was just trying to kind of guess based on the letters that I had already punched. But you should really just follow the instructions because they're not that hard to follow. But basically you start with a piece that is 1.5 by 2.5. So that is basically the width and the height of each of your letters. And then the instructions will tell you which parts need to be punched from this one here, which punches kind of a D shape out, and how to line it up. Now, it's hard to maybe see the lines on the punch board, but there are different lines for where you can line things up. And on this top section here, where there's the cutter and the track for cutting, there are different tracks that you can kind of put your little blade in. And on one side of that circular blade, there's a round plastic piece that runs along the track, and then the blade will just easily glide back and forth. So these are a really nice size letter. So again, it's 1.5 wide by 2.5 tall, and this is the mini one. There's a larger one. There's the original one, which I don't even know what size that punches out, but I figured for purposes of card making, the mini one would be really perfect for me. So here I've made the exact same clear pocket that I made for November. And I don't know why I didn't think to do this last month, but I decided to put a pocket on the back of this paper clip as well. That way you can clip it onto either the front or the right side of your journal, or you can clip it to the back of the page or the left side of your journal. So it will work on here is where I clip it to the right side, and here is where I'll clip it to the left side. So it's kind of nice to now have this be functional on both sides. Now you can't see both sides at the same time, of course, but at least it's there and it's functional regardless of what side of the journal I want to use it on. Now this one is another We Are Memory Keepers punch board. I don't know if I ever did a haul on this, but I went kind of nutty when Joann's was having a sale on We Are Memory Keepers. I mean, they were selling things for 60-70% off, free shipping, plus extra coupons. It made all of these punch boards a really great deal. So again, this I do have a separate tutorial on. If you want to see that, I will link to it in the upper right hand corner. But basically, you can look up in the little guide what size pocket you want to make. It tells you exactly the size paper that you will need to cut out. And this can actually create two different styles of pockets. You can have one that has a top and a bottom flap, or one that only has the bottom flap, which seals the bottom, and at the top you can just punch a little thumb notch and leave it open. So you have that flexibility to do both styles. And what I'm going to do is actually give this a little bit of a gusset, because I actually want to use this little pocket as maybe a way of holding little pieces of embellishments, ephemera, things like that, that I make while I'm that are kind of left over during other card making sessions that I think I might want to use to decorate my journal with. So it's just like a little pocket so that I can store little things. The pockets that are in my journal are rather large, and so small die cuts, small embellishments, things like that, they're gonna get lost in those large pockets, which are rather deep as well. So what I did was I just scored an extra line along the two sides, and it was 1/8 of an inch inwards a little bit. And that way I have a little bit of a gusset so that I can, I don't think I'll have a lot of embellishments that I want to put in here, but at least this gives me that little extra bit of wiggle room, and it'll be easier to kind of slip things in and out. And so before I glue everything down, I did use my circle punch to just notch out the top there, and that'll just make things a little bit easier to slide in and out. And then now that I've got that done, I can actually seal up my pocket. So I glued the two sides together and then the bottom. And so there you can see it's got a little bit of dimension. I'm going to add that little bit of a gusset to the top flap as well. That way, if this is really full, then that top flap has a little bit of that gusset to match the gusset along the sides. It's only 1/8 of an inch, so it's not a ton. Okay, so then this is going to be another hidden paper clip, and I just wanted to show another way of making a hidden paper clip. It's pretty similar to the first one. Basically, I'm starting out with thin paper, and all I'm going to do is this is going to be fairly small, and all I'm hoping to do here is to just cover the inside of the paper clip, and the thinner the paper that you have, the better. You could use a plain copy paper, just white copy paper if you wanted. This is just thin copy paper as well, but it's a pattern paper, so there's a little bit of a pattern to it. And I'm clipping it onto just a piece of double-sided adhesive paper liner, so that it doesn't, the front and the back halves don't actually stick to one another. So while that gets nice and dry, I'm going to actually decorate my policy envelope here. And I know it looks like a mess on my desk here, and it actually is, because these are all the scraps that were left over from the those two card making kits. And this is pretty much, I can't believe I kept all of these little itty bitty strips of pattern paper, because those were mostly from the Spellbinders kit. I think the only one that I'm using to do this bit of paper piecing is that was from Pink and Main, was the Holly. But otherwise, everything else was from the Spellbinders kit. And if I don't use it up this card making session, I'm definitely gonna throw it away because these were pretty itty bitty in terms of scraps, and I am glad that I kept them, but I'm in some ways surprised, and in other ways not so surprised. But I'm gonna go ahead and just tile all of these little scraps up to just create a background. To fill up the front of my policy envelope here. And I wanted to bring in a little bit of shine, so I'm using some of my Love from Lizzie's pinstripe stickers. I used just a little strip of gold and some solid red, just so that it's not all busy print, and there's some solid cardstock, some solid sort of colors to let your eye rest a little bit, and not have it be so overwhelming with pattern and text. And again, just looking at the scraps that I have and trying to use what I have up, I've got this another little panel that I'm gonna create as sort of my topper for this policy envelope. And I don't know why I didn't think of it, but that little ornament, the gold foiled one that's on green, that would have been perfect for the front of my paper clip. I kind of wish I had saved it for that instead of stuck it onto here. The reason why I wanted to put it on here, though, is because I just wanted another pop of green, because there's a little bit of green in the toy soldier, or the Nutcracker, and then I've got the green star, and I just wanted just one more green element on that topper piece, and that was the only sort of embellishment that was left, so I used it. Now this flower, I must have a die set for this. I don't know which die set that is, because that was already pre-made, left over in my bit of scraps. So I'll have to kind of see if I can find out where that's from. That's when I realized I wish I had saved that. I tried to see how easily I could pull that up, but I had used liquid glue on the bright sentiment, and so it wasn't gonna come up, not without really tearing up the cardstock below. So I'm trying to scramble a little bit to see what else I've got, but essentially what I'm going to do is actually glue a decorative piece to the front of my paperclip and to the back of my paperclip. And this style of sort of hidden paperclip is more of a shaped hidden paperclip as opposed to the bookmark style that I made last month. And so with this, that's why I wanted to keep that inner layer nice and small so that I could use smaller sort of die cuts to embellish the fronts. So I'm using some Kalal all-purpose glue, but I kind of wish I'd used my Beacon 3-in-1 glue because they're both solvent-based, which is good because I'm using thin paper for my inner layer here. But the Beacon glue, it's less runny, so I find that it's a little bit better. But in any case, if you're worried about your glue kind of oozing out, you can do what I did. Just clip your paper clip onto some paper release liner, and that way if any glue oozes out, it's not going to actually glue your paper clip shut. And I just left it like that to dry before doing anything else with it. So those are all of the elements that I made for December, and I really like this idea of, because every time I have a card making session, I do tend to always have some die cuts that are left over or some colored images that are left over, and so I like the idea of having that policy envelope so that I can just throw in all of those leftovers that I think might, look good or that I might want to use inside my planner. And then I'll have some bits ready to go to decorate my planner for the following month. So that was my cover. This is the quick little addition, so just the back side of my jumbo paperclip. So now I can actually attach this on the back of my pages or the left hand side of my journal, and that just gives me a little bit more flexibility for where I place this, how I use it. And there's an example of pushing it a little bit more towards the center just to distribute the bulk or the bulge of all these dimensional things. And then here's my policy envelope, slightly modified so that there's a little bit of a gusset. And this paperclip that I made, you could actually use it as a bit of a closure, because I didn't put, generally I think with policy envelopes you have that little string closure, but I could actually use this little paperclip as a closure for my policy envelope. So that's definitely an option. Although the snowflake that I chose doesn't really go so great on the flip side, but on this side it actually matches. So that would be an option, and I'm gonna put it in my clear pocket on the front cover here because it is all nicely decorated. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted a clear pocket, so that whatever I put in there, you could still see it in full. So I love that. Now I'm finally kind of enjoying the benefits of having made a clear pocket there, because now I can actually see and appreciate all of that the ephemera and how that policy envelope has been decorated. And so then here is just my paperclip that just the small kind of little embellishment that you can put at the top of your page or anywhere. I mean, it can clip to the side of your page too. So this is a more shaped style of paperclip, so that it's not the full kind of bookmark style. And sometimes having the smaller one is kind of nice when you're just looking for like a little embellishment. So I hope that you enjoyed these additions to my December planner. As I mentioned last month, I don't know that I'll be doing a video every month, but certainly if I'm pulling out a new craft toy or new stamp or die set, then I'll definitely share that with you. Thank you again, and until my next video, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye!